Hey, everybody, welcome, and thank you for listening to this episode of Marriage Therapy Radio. My name is Zach Brittle. I'm here today with Adam and Dana Roach. You know, I love talking to people who have their stuff together, who are very clear about their principles and who endeavor to live intentionally. And that's what these guys are all about. In fact, Dana just wrote a book called Restore, which made it onto the USA Today bestseller list. So congratulations, Dana. And you should check out her book if you are interested in the conversation that we have today. That's coming up. What I wanted to say in the meantime was, I forgot to wish everybody Happy Mother's Day. We have a lot of wives and husbands who listen to this podcast, but also a lot of moms I know. And Mother's Day is, one of those days in my private practice that when people mess it up, I hear about it the following week. I'm sure I'll hear about it this week. So I hope you had a good one. We did. We woke up and Rebecca ran the show. She let us know what she wanted to do, and we did it. And she almost made me watch Heated Rivalry. I'm glad that she didn't. I don't have anything against that show. It's just not something I'm interested in. I'd much rather watch actual real life hockey, this is one of my favorite times of the year because I get to watch the NHL playoffs. I happen to be a Montreal Canadiens fan, so they are winning the series that they're in right now, which is kind of exciting. But yeah, we just celebrated Rebecca and kind of took a minute to pause and remember how valuable it is to have a mom on the planet. She read me a quote yesterday that kind of blew my mind, which was the idea that the only people on the planet are women and their children. And I think we need to do a better job of honoring those women and their successes and the roles that they play in our lives. And I'm grateful to have 3 really strong women in my life. And, 4, if you count my own mom. I talked to her too. And that's really cool. I'm not a person who celebrates big days. My birthday's coming up next month. Father's Day is next month. We have an anniversary coming up. And, Mary made a good point yesterday, which is like, why are there singular days for people? Shouldn't every day be special? And every day should be special. And that's why I think that being intentional is such a valuable skill. Intention and attention are the things that I think keep relationships alive. And it's easy to have those things atrophy when we've been in a relationship for a really long time. And that's why I loved talking to Adam and Dana. They were really clear about their goals for one another, their goals for their businesses, their goal for their family. We veer off into a little bit of a conversation about tennis, which is got a piece of my heart right now because they are a tennis family. And I think there are a lot of life lessons embedded in that particular sport. Well, really any sport, but it's cool to hear Adam reflect on those in ways that I actually have continued to cling to and think about. Lots of nuggets of wisdom talking with these guys. I think you'll enjoy them. This is a very cool conversation. Stick around. Yeah, good morning. Where are you? Or is it morning where you are? I don't know where you are.
It is morning, yep. It is 11 o'clock.
Kind of. I mean, it's lunchtime.
Mid-morning, yeah. Early brunch.
We're early birds, so.
Are you in Charleston, South Carolina?
We are.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Roanoke, Virginia.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
Sure. Up the road.
Pretty close by my standards. I'm in Seattle now, but.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Not as close.
No. I don't get back too often. I did go to Charleston. I feel like I went to, there's another one in South Carolina though. Columbus?
Columbia, yeah. Yep.
Is that the other big one? The Columbia,
yeah. That's that's actually the capital, and that's where the University of South Carolina is.
I think that's where I was. I was doing I was teaching on an army base somewhere.
Okay.
I'm sure there's army bases all over South Carolina, but I was there for a couple of days a couple of years ago.
Nice.
I like to just kind of go for it. So I'd love just to kind of get to know you. If you have any questions for me, if you think about like, what would I ask a therapist if I had access to a therapist, and, we'll just see what comes up. I did read a little bit about what you have going on, a lot more information available about Adam than you, Dana, but, please be the main character or a main character in the whole
Well,
thing
she's about to be because she was just named a USA Today bestseller. She hit the list yesterday, 2 days ago.
All right. Well, tell me about that. What are we writing about?
I just released actually my first book, and it's called Restore. It's a 90-day daily reader for people looking to grow intentionality in their life, faith, and their business. And been working on it for about 2 years. And my launch date, my pub date was February 3rd. And so we've had a really busy last couple of weeks.
It's been busy.
Yeah.
And then I was hoping to make a run for a list, and I did end up Wednesday. We found out hit number 14 on USA Today, so I was super pumped. It's been great.
Why not? Yeah.
Blessed,
Yeah.
yes.
So, real quickly, what's the secret to intentional living?
Oh my gosh, I have 90 days worth, but
You have 90 seconds. Go.
That's only book one, too. There's 3 more
gonna
books
be
to come.
Yeah. It's really just the word. It is choosing to be intentional instead of drifting. I mean, I think a lot of times even semi-successful people wake up every day and they have some success and they go about their life, but they still feel like they are drifting, or 3-4 months go by and you're like, what the heck did I do the last 4 months or 6 months or a year? And it's truly just making the decision to be intentional in your relationships, your spirituality, with your finances, in your business, with the people around you, all the things. It's just choosing to actually be aware of it and make those intentional choices instead of drifting through.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to enjoy hearing about it. Tell me a little bit about you guys. You've been married how long, and are there children in the mix? And let us know who we're talking to.
4 years, going on 4 years behind us now? 4 years this year.
Married.
Yeah, 4 years married this year. 2 kids from my former marriage. Dana did not have kids. We have a 17 and a 15-year-old.
Okay.
They are, we would basically call them pseudo-professional tennis players. They go to a tennis academy here locally, and they have for the last 6 years. And so both of them are off to tournaments as of today. One's heading to Alabama. One's heading to Florence, South Carolina. And so we actually have a nice, fun, free weekend this weekend.
Right on.
Yeah. We've been together almost 10 years, second marriage for both of us. So speaking of intentionality, we are very intentional about our marriage.
That's right.
Yeah. How?
Oh,
You go first.
Me?
Yeah, rock, paper, scissors, you go.
Oh, man. Okay. I think, and we've talked about this a little bit before, but I think, no one gets married ever thinking that you're going to get divorced, right? I mean, that just isn't typically what happens. And so we've spoke a lot about, you kind of see things that you don't like, and or mistakes that even we personally made, with the first go around. And so obviously second go around, being extremely intentional around making it work, just committed for the long haul through the ups and downs. And, both of us have grown a lot in our faith in the last several years. And so I think that has played a huge piece of the puzzle. But we could go through, we go through a list. I mean, we're nuts about our calendar, Zach. Like we take the first week of January every year in Florida and we reflect on the calendar of the year before. And then we plan out the whole entire year for our time. So I would say the first thing we are intentional with, other than our faith, would be our time. Yeah. We plan out our vacations. We plan out our quarterly just us time. We plan out tennis tournaments for the kids, when I'm traveling for work, when Adam's traveling. I mean, we're
calendared.
Yeah, we're very calendared. And that has been great for our relationship because we are both highly scheduled individuals, in our work life. And so making it just a priority. And then would you add anything to that?
So, I mean, there's a lot of caveats inside of there, though I would simply say communication is something that we is a bedrock of the relationship. Though it's interesting, and I joke about this too, is we have a house in Lexington, Kentucky as well, and that's where all of Dana's businesses are. And so usually once a month, we get a break from each other. It's like, honey, you go to Kentucky, I'll stay here in South Carolina sometimes. And again, I say that tongue in cheek, though at the end of the day, it is good that we have some distance, if you will, some separation.
And we're both independent, so I think that has helped a lot. But we did talk about the 7-day rule, though. I mean, we set that years ago.
We started when we started this relationship 10 years ago, knowing that we both had businesses in separate states, knowing that we needed to be on the road certain times, that we initiated a 2-week rule first. It was, we would not be away from each other for greater than 2 weeks. And if it was greater than 2 weeks, we'd almost rock, paper, scissors it to see who was flying to the other person to not break that rule. And we did a good job with that. And now we've changed it to 7 days. So now it's 7 days. So if she's somewhere, if I'm somewhere and it's greater than 7 days, the other person will figure out a way to get there and be on that same plane.
Do you think you shortened it because of diminished tolerance or because of increased interest, or what was predicated the switch?
I think
she
really
missed me.
I think really what ultimately we ended up shortening it is because originally when we were dating before we got married, I lived in Kentucky and he lived in South Carolina. I mean, we lived in two different states. So we had to figure out a way to make it work. And obviously because of Addison and Amelia, it was easier for me to really be here more than Adam. You know, it wasn't an option for him to leave the state. And plus, who doesn't love Charleston, South Carolina? Right. It's a great place, great place to live. So I ended up being here more. When we got married, we bought a new house here. And then that was really when we were like, okay, if I'm going to be here, you know, primarily 3 weeks out of the month, then no more than 7 days. And a lot of that, I mean, obviously we do miss each other a lot. But I think sometimes, you know, when you have a longer gap away from each other, like it's easier for things to creep in and you to maybe not communicate as much, or you aren't sharing as much.
Well, it was interesting when we first got together. I don't even remember why we went, but we did go to a therapist just to have a conversation. And she said, I just want to expose this for you guys right now is that you're both alphas. And the one thing you're going to do is butt heads on who's going to lead.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is something to this day, 10 plus years later, that we still have conversations around. And the neat part is, and then going back to my world of communication, we'll communicate that to each other. Okay, this is, you take the lead on this. I'll take the lead on this. You take the lead on that. And that way, do we butt heads? Of course we butt heads. Though at the end of the day, it is okay to communicate and say, you take the lead because this is a strength zone of yours, or you take the lead because you have more passion in this space for this, or whatever it is. And that really has worked out extremely well. So I'm glad that she pointed that out to us 10 plus years ago.
So what happens when you butt heads? Like, does one of you win most of the time? Does one of you give up? Do you play rock, paper, scissors? How do you butt heads and then come to some kind of
That's
conclusion?
a great question.
Adam is like the ultimate communicator. So where I tend to maybe be more like silent and just, you know, ignore or not want to like get into it, as I would say. And so I've really had to learn a lot around just having open communication and us being, when we do butt heads, or if there is a situation where like we're both very, you know, high, direct alpha people, like Adam said. Oh, we should talk about the energy thing too. That's interesting. I'll tell you that. But I think we just talk. I mean, and then when we do, normally we figure out. I definitely wouldn't say one of us wins more times than the other.
No. I do catch myself apologizing more though.
He definitely will apologize first.
I will know that I make the mistake, and I will know that I've either overstepped my bounds or done something that was either not kind or in the moment a rash decision of some sort. And she always says, I know you're going to apologize. and then I'll hold that as a little bit of, well, I'm not going to apologize then. And then about 48 hours later, I'll apologize.
So you're good at apologizing, Dana. Are you good at receiving an apology?
Yeah, I can be over stuff pretty quickly. Yeah. So I do. Yeah. Then I'm like, okay.
Yeah, she does a good job. Dana's really good at.
I can roll on pretty quick.
She rolls on real quick. Doesn't hold a grudge, and that was something that we said in our early parts of our relationship too. And without sounding cliche or silly, it's like a ride or die type thing. Listen, I know that we're both going to make mistakes. I know that we're both going to hurt each other's feelings one way or another. I know things are going to happen, but here's the thing. I love you unconditionally, and we took a vow to this, and we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
We're going to move on from it.
Zach, you said that we could ask you questions since we have a therapist. So I'd be curious, what do you see typically when both people are alphas? And, you know what I mean?
Masculine energy. And it's very fascinating to watch because I've had another relationship coach prior to, and I want to hear your answer there, Zach. Prior to proposing to Dana, I hired a relationship coach for myself. And that was one of the very first things he walked me through, because I said, okay, coach, we're getting on this call. Here's what I want. I want you to teach me more patience, more compassion, and more protection. How do I do that for Dana? And he's like, all right, we're going to have a feminine and masculine energy-based conversation right now. And we went down that path, and he said, do you realize the first two things that you shared with me were feminine-based energies? And is she asking for that? And I said, no. He says, well, why are you asking for it? And I said, I think I need to be that. He says, well, but if your energy is that of masculine the majority of time, and hers is as well, you're going to walk into a scenario where you're going to be inauthentic, and it's not going to be desired by her. So what does she really want from you, and what are we working on? And that was great. And so from that moment on, we get to pay attention to masculine and feminine energy all the time. And it's really kind of fun to see.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, back to the question for Zach. Let's see what he's got.
Because Zach, we have friends that struggle. Like, we have friends that are both alphas, and they're like, this is hard.
Yeah. I think, you've got this thing that you're calling masculine energy, which typically means that you have this desire to win or to be dominant or to be kind of a little harsher. And in our world, that gets rewarded quite a bit. Like, that's actually how you get good at, that's how you make a lot of money, is you kind of climb the ladder. And it's not how you necessarily achieve intimacy. And so when two people who have this kind of dominant energy, I got to win, this is why I asked you this question, like, who wins and who loses? Because if one of you wins, then the relationship loses. You know? So part of it is understanding a little bit of, like, how do you have this masculine energy? So I have a question that's lingering in the back of my mind. It's a little bit like, I want to say two sentences to you, and you tell me which one you resonate with more, which is something like, I'm in relationship with people, and here's sentence one. I would love you if you kind of fill in the blank, right? Like, this is this position I'm in. The other one is, if you loved me, then you would ... Like, do you, as you hear those two sentences, do you resonate with either of them more than the other? Neither of them is great. I get that part. I'm not trying to out you as a as a bad lover. I'm just saying.
It's a trick question. Yeah.
I know, because I was kind of thinking neither, but
the first one is, I would love you if ... And the second one is, if you loved me, then you would ...
Guys,
I would love you if you changed your behavior.
Yeah.
If you loved me, you would change your behavior is the sort of quickest route to that.
I'll let you step on that landmine. You go first.
I mean, I don't know, because I don't really feel either one of them.
Yeah, I don't think either way.
Both of those are grandiose positions, right? Both of those are kind of masculine positions or one-up positions where there's a condition to the relationship. And so sometimes when you surface that for people and you kind of go, oh, this is the condition that I've laid out, which is you get my love if you behave properly, or if you loved me, then this is how I would know, because you behave properly or whatever it is. And when those two things clash, that's where it's really hard to kind of figure out how to bridge the gap, because there's a little bit of an obstinance, right, that comes in, and who's going to win this one. So ultimately what you have to help people do is realize that sometimes the best way for two alphas to settle an agreement is in fact rock, paper, scissors. It's just to go, hey, we care more about the relationship than we do about winning here. Yeah. And I'd rather be connected to you than get my way at the expense of destroying you. Yeah. And a lot of people don't figure that out.
I think we've learned that over time, which is maybe why why both of them didn't sound right, because I feel like we've learned that, over several years and knowing how we both are. And I think, what we've experienced is a lot of times, and even in the beginning, I would say maybe a little bit of this, but when you have two alphas, sometimes it's like, oh, well, you got to be a bestseller. Oh, well, you get to go do this, or, oh, well, you get to have this coaching community. Like, it's more of like a comparison thing. And I think for us, from, at least in the last several years and really early on in our relationship, we just committed to be intentional with supporting each other and knowing that, and back to actually, let me back up. Now I'm remembering something that she said when we saw that, therapist in the very, very early on. And she said something to me about my first marriage and why, she kind of felt like it didn't work, for lack of better words. And she said that it was because I didn't see him as an equal. And she said that, and we unpacked
because you were in your alpha position, because you were sort of in the more grandiose posture. Yeah. Okay.
I think so. Yeah. And, when I look back, I definitely was like that. I didn't see him as an equal. And the way that she described it, Zach, was she said, if something were to happen to you, would you feel like, not just financially, but emotionally and, just, I can't remember the word she used, but would I feel like that he was equal enough that everything would be okay, basically. And my answer to that was no. And so I remember talking to her about that and unpacking that, multiple times. And then I remember, a year or so later coming to Adam and saying, I do feel like we are equal, and I have always felt that way. And I do feel like, maybe I have a better month than he does one time, or he has a better month than I do one time, or a year or whatever. And we've both experienced that. But no matter what, at the end of the day, we do see each other as equals. And we do feel like we both got each other's backs. And, God forbid something happened to one of us. Like, I am 1,000% confident that Adam will figure it out. And I think he feels the same about me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, very, very. Though I think the word there that we're looking for, I don't think you said it, Zach, was supportive.
Yeah.
Very, very supportive. Maybe you said that. Very supportive of each other. When she was going through this journey of writing this book and having the target of hitting a USA Today bestseller list in her first book, I never once thought it was an impossible goal. But the more we talked to people who had written
many
books,
people did.
And the more people that we got around, they were like, you realize this is going to be your worst book ever. It's not going to hit the list, right? I was like, well, says who, right? Says who? And so when even the night before, she was doubting the fact that she was going to hit the list. And we're sitting in the hot tub together the night before it is to be released. And she says, and I'll paraphrase just a little bit. She basically says, do we have a contingency plan if I don't hit this?
No, I was just like, what will I tell people?
What will I tell people if I don't hit this? And I was like, you just move on. There's nothing to explain.
Yeah. You tell people you wrote a great book that will change their lives. Yeah.
That's right. You don't owe anybody an apology. And the moment I was at the gym and she called me, it was like 6 a.m. and she said, and this is fun. You'll appreciate this too. And so will all the listeners. She says, I opened up the USA Today list, and it's 150?
Yeah.
Yep. And now I would have started at the top because I wanted to see if I was going to be number one. She starts at the bottom. She starts at 150 and works her way up, and she doesn't see it for the first
scrolling.
Doesn't see it for the first 100. Doesn't see it for the next 75. And she's like, where is this? And she finally sees it in the top 15. She says at number 14. And she's like, wow, I hit 14. So the moment I heard that, I finished the workout and I got on my cell phone and I just started texting everybody. Not because it had something to do with me, but because I knew she wouldn't gloat. Sure, she'd do something on social media. She would share it on social media. But I was like, screw that. We're going to go right to the sources and I'm going to tell as many people as I can about this to support her. And she's like, who are you texting? It's 6:30 a.m. I was like, everybody. I'm texting everybody.
Of course
supportive, right? Supportive, I think, is a great word.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's one of the 7 principles of making marriage work, which is this idea of we share life goals, we share life dreams, and we pursue them together, and we have each other's back in the process of that. And, part of that is you got to know what they are. And it sounds like you have this, commitment to being really transparent. And I don't know if that's exactly the right word I want, but, in the spirit of your commitment to communication, it's just out on the table.
Yeah.
Well, and you said something, actually, I think I mentioned this earlier about how we do our calendars the first week of January. I mean, we goal plan for this year, for 5 years. We make vision boards together.
We do family vision boards together.
The kids do it with us.
They have to present them to us. We present them to them. So everyone's kind of in a clarity space.
We share them up on the big screen TV and everybody kind of says why they put theirs on there.
Presentation. Then Dana takes them and laminates them all at Kinko's or wherever she goes. But we carry them around. I mean, they're on our phones. They're on our home screens, right? And it's.
But we are invested in each other's goals for sure.
And you'll appreciate this. Okay, so here's another inside the Roach family story. So Addison last night, we were having a conversation, and he did not wish Dana congratulations. He's a 17-year-old boy. I'm gonna not justify his behavior, but he gets up at 6 a.m. He's on the court by 6:15 and he's off the court by roughly 6:30 p.m. Right. So he has school somewhere in the middle, and he and his sister do the same thing. And so he said, Dad, I saw the text and I saw it and I felt really proud, though I didn't say anything. because I forgot, basically, right?
Okay.
And it did hurt my feelings.
It did hurt
you want the people that are closest to you to be proud of you.
My point with this wasn't that he didn't say that. This was his reply. He's like, Dad, we got a family text. And he's like, we're
all family, like
all family.
Like,
he's like
Adam's sister and her kids.
Like,
and
got it.
We're always celebrating something because we're all always doing something amazing. He's like, I
didn't think it was a big deal.
He's like, I just saw it and I thought, the Roach family did something else amazing. I was like, well, that's kind of cool that you think that way.
Because everybody's always winning a tournament or playing a sport or having a monumental
it was just
birthday.
interesting that he said that. But I share that too, and on this podcast simply because we are invested in each other's goals. Mm-hmm. We are invested and know each other's goals. That was on Dana's vision board. And so it's almost like it's not a surprise when we achieve things on the vision board because that's what we set out and intentionally do together. And it's really kind of fun.
Right on. Dana, do you play tennis?
No, I do not play tennis, which is another lesson we've talked about before. I'm not very athletic, to be honest, Zach. But
she's got 2 left feet. She's good.
No, but I mean, Adam played tennis in college. The kids have played since they were 3, 4. And I had no idea about tennis. So I would say for 2 or 3 years, I mean, all I did was just my head back and forth when I would watch. Had no clue what was going on. I would say all the wrong words. But I learned because another lesson we learned a long time ago is like you get into what other people are into that you care about. And if you really care about somebody, like you get into what they're into. And obviously Adam and the kids are very into tennis. So I needed to get into it, and now we do all the things. We go to the US Open and watch all their matches and we do family trips together when it comes to tennis. But definitely don't play, but I can keep a score now.
She can. She does a good job.
Which is a big step from where we were.
Adam, I wonder if you have any, knowing how important tennis is in your family and that you spent a lot of time around it, what would be a life lesson or a relationship lesson that you would take away from the court? Do you have something tucked in your pocket?
Oh, do you have 4 hours, Zach? I'm just curious how long we have on here.
I mean, if you think about it, if we go back to scoring or winning, it all starts with love, right? So it's all about love. No, I'm kidding.
You're not wrong.
Yeah. Well, what's really interesting about tennis is, and we were having a conversation about this maybe a couple of days ago, tennis is a very individual mental sport. Sure, you have to be physical, though if you really break it down from a comparison to other sports, you're 78 feet away from your opponent. That's baseline to baseline. You can't talk to your opponent. You can't talk to the official. You can't talk to your coach. You can't talk to anyone in the stands. It's literally just you and your mind and your racket and ball, right? So if you... And they teach you to be, and I've learned this, my father was an Olympic swim coach, so we had a lot of life lessons in our house as well, though tennis is a mentally controlling sport. You've got to mentally stay with it, otherwise you're chucking your racket over the fence every other ball you miss. And to bring that into the relationship, it's actually a thought process of pausing, right? Because inside of tennis, after you finish a point, when I was 12 years old, I learned a pattern. And the pattern was after the point, win or lose, you pause, you take your racket from your dominant hand to your non-dominant hand. Well, first of all, you have to have a release, right? So the release is, and my coaches always say, it's got to be within the confines of the rules, right? So no smashing rackets, no doing whatever it is that's outside the rules. And then you switch your racket from your dominant hand to your non-dominant hand. You're picking your strings. Your back now is towards the court, and you're mentally preparing to release the last point and prepare for the second point. Because you have you have a short time frame between that point and the next point. Okay, so let's bring that into relationships. In the relationship side, you really have to pay attention to, are you about to react or are you going to respond? Right? Are you going to let go of that last, whatever it was, conversation, argument, or are you going to bring it forward into the next one? And I like to call that the vegetable soup, right? Are we having a carrot soup conversation? That's one topic. Or are we going to have a carrot or a vegetable soup type conversation? And that's many topics that were pulled in from the last conversation or last argument. Because in tennis, you do the same thing. If you don't let go of that last point and you bring it into the next point and you lost the previous one, you're probably going to lose the next one because you're carrying that with you. So yeah, I could do many comparisons of relationships to tennis, but that's definitely a one that I believe has helped me in the relationship is knowing that if I'm reactive and I'm carrying something from yesterday forward that is negative, I'm probably going to lose today.
Right on. Yeah, I was wondering, I like talking about tennis a lot. My kid plays.
Oh, nice.
She's like very, very good at her high school.
Nice.
And then, and then we go to the state tournament and she gets her clock cleaned by all these kids that are like really into tennis. But so she's she's graduated now, but she went to the state tournament 3 years in a row because tennis around here is like, you can be a pretty good athlete and, swing a racket, you can make the state tournament, but then you get to the state tournament and you find out that this is actual real tennis players. Anyway, That's not my point. My point is, to your question about two alphas earlier, you get two alphas on a tennis court. It's very easy for them to get on the court and start to try and win the point, smash the ball. Let's see if I can make you run and see if I can do it. Put the two of you on the court and you start to play that game. Adam will win every single time. Every single time you will win the point. If you guys go though, and you start the exercise of playing tennis together and the goal is just to keep the ball moving as much as possible. Yeah. He'll hit it in a way that you can hit it back and you'll hit it back and it'll go back and forth and it might be really ugly and it might not make it, but what we'll be doing is keeping the ball moving. And I think to your question about what happens when two alphas come together, well, they can try and win the point over and over again, or they can just try to keep the ball moving. Yeah. And that is a different way of engaging conflict or headbutting, because it's not so much what are we doing here, because you're going to be gifted in different ways. You're going to have different strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. If we play just to one of your strengths, like who's better at tennis, Adam wins every time. Yeah. We play to the strength of how do we keep this ball moving? You start to collaborate. You start to make it easier for each other. You start to enjoy the time, even though Dana's no good at tennis. So when I'm talking to couples, I'm often, it's easy to get distracted by whatever the content is, but I think it's really about helping them establish context, right? What are we doing here? Because if what we're doing here is just trying to get to the bottom of a thing, we can bat this idea around for a long time. If we're trying to win, all you have to do is either be stronger or cheat, And,
two things around my mind. We actually played pickleball not too long ago.
Oh yeah.
And so we played doubles pickleball. So luckily we were on a team together. I say luckily, I guess, but we were on a team together, and that was kind of funny because we actually got to take a step back and I had to not want to try to dominate the court and have fun.
I was just trying to not leave with an injury. So.
But then I was also laughing because I was visually seeing us rallying a ball back and forth. And to your point, absolutely, I can hit the ball right to her and I can set her up and she'll be just fine. That doesn't mean that her ball is going to come right back to me. And that's sometimes how I feel in life is I can hit the ball right back to her, but she's going to hit a ball way over there that I have to run to try to go get, or over here or over there. But I think I do the exact same thing to her sometimes. So, yeah, that's good.
Well, and of course, there's a difference between somebody who is, a little clumsy with the way they hit the ball, and so sometimes you have to work a little bit harder to get to it, and someone who's intentionally trying to hit it in a way that is causing problems for you.
Right.
Yeah,
totally. And when they are the first, and you assign them the role of the second. So when they're clumsy and you keep going, come on, oh my God, geez, then you're on a side quest, which does not have anything to do with the game anymore. So I don't know. My favorite thing, honestly, is to talk metaphor. Like, how does metaphor work? Like, how does tennis teach us about relationship? My favorite, I did an interview on Marriage Therapy Radio a couple weeks ago with a couple, and their whole thing is escape rooms. That's their thing. That's their thing that they do.
On your podcast, that would look good.
It was amazing. I loved those guys. They were the coolest, and they, because they have this theology or philosophy about how the thing I do over here informs the thing I do in here, you know? And, you know, to
That's
your
neat.
point, Dana, about your book, when you're intentional about the way that even that you do conflict or the way that you engage another alpha, you set the right context, you can kind of get anything done, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I was actually just thinking of when one of the things that has helped us a lot to being in that space, or like when we have, you know, something upsets me and I go to Adam about it, or something upsets Adam and he comes to me about it. We had someone teach us a long time ago. I don't remember if that was Flanagan or who that was, but said that we need, before the person starts the rant, that if you know it's coming, then you can pause and say, okay, do you want me to feel this or to fix it? Because a lot of times we go into like quick fix mode and not necessarily feel mode, which plays back into what you originally talked about with the intimacy, I think. And we're like constantly like, you know, if Adam's got something, I'm like, okay, well, let's figure out how to fix it. Yeah. Or if, you know, somebody, you know, upsets me or whatever, which no offense, honey, but that's kind of what you did last night with Addison. You should have asked me if you wanted to fix it or feel it first instead.
No, that was a definite fix.
Addison walked in and Adam was like, we're about to talk about a lesson of being aware of things.
Sit down, like, shut up, and you're going to listen to this.
Oh, great. But that did help a lot because, you know, then on the front end, then I'll be like, no, I don't want you to fix it. I just want you to feel it. Like, I just need to share with you how I'm feeling, and vice versa. And I think we've both kind of learned that over the last several years, and it has helped a lot so that we aren't going right into, okay, let me just figure out how to solve this.
Well, it also pauses the listener to listen versus jump right into solution mode. Because sometimes it is just that. They don't want a solution. They want an ear. Or they want a shoulder. And at that moment in time, while it may feel good for the listener to solve the problem, the one giving it isn't ready for a solution yet.
Well, there's your release and prepare moment, right? Like you kind of release your own agenda and prepare for the next thing. That's right. Listeners will recognize that the thing that is closest to what you're describing that I say a lot is, it's a kind of a joke in our house is, do you want to be helped, heard, or hugged?
Oh, I love that.
That's good.
So we got like the alliteration of, do you want me to feel it or fix it?
Yeah.
You know? And now we got the other one with the H's. Do you want to be helped, heard, or hugged?
I love that.
Good. I like that too.
And
that's so
listen,
good.
it's been fun talking to you guys. Congratulations on your book and making the list. That's insane. Tell us again what it is.
The book is called Restore, and it's 90 Days to Intentional Living. And it's everywhere now. I have been saying pre-order, but it's out. So you can buy it on anything, Books A Million, Amazon, all the things.
Well, what's the website?
Very cool.
RestoreDevotional.com. Also, I have a bunch of freebies on there too people can get.
Yeah.
Very cool. And Adam, if we want to learn more about what you're up to?
Yep. They just go to my Instagram, Adam R. Roach. They can also come to I Love Coaching Co. We have a very large coaching community, and they can go check it all there.
Very good. Yeah, I got a guy in my practice right now who is entering the world of coaching. So I'll be glad to let him know of your resource.
Nice.
Maybe he already knows about it, but I will. I'll make sure that he's aware. And if that's your jam, check these guys out. Thanks again for joining me, and enjoy the rest of your weekend in Charleston, South Carolina.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Adam and Dana Roach, for joining me on Marriage Therapy Radio. You should check out Dana's book. It's called Restore. You can get it everywhere books are sold. Thanks also for listening to and supporting Marriage Therapy Radio. One of the ways that you can do that is by continuing to follow us on the socials, leave a 5-star review at Apple Podcasts or at Spotify. And I am leaning into, again, waking up my blog, which is called Stuff I Write, over on Substack. So you can go to stuffIwrite.com. And that's where I'm going to be kind of rolling out information about the book. My manuscript is due at the end of this month, and I am frantically trying to figure out how to get that done. And I appreciate any good thoughts you can send my way. In the meantime, I'll thank you for the time and attention you're putting into making your relationship better today than it was yesterday.